Gotcha. So I would say from my perspective, you're probably actually Eastern Kentucky. That's
Yeah,
what I
on
would
the
guess.
edge of being Eastern.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But
But
yeah,
yeah, so we're rolling. So if you're ready, I'll do the intro and we can jump into it.
yeah, sure.
And then it's Brenna
Yes,
MacMillan.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Just making sure I had that correct.
No, you did great. A lot of people really screwed up. So
It's all good. All right, cool. So here we go. Welcome back to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quatt, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Brenna MacMillan. How's it going today?
good. How are you?
Doing really well. Doing really well. I'm excited to have you on the podcast because when I reached out to you, it was such a shot in the dark for me because I'd been following your musical career for the last several years. I'm almost positive I've seen you at a music festival somewhere, but for the life of me, I cannot remember what festival it was. So,
Maybe
uh,
so.
but excited to have you on and excited to sit down and chat with you a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
So, growing up, we were just having this discussion, Central Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, what was it like growing up in Kentucky for you?
Well, I didn't grow up anywhere else, so I'm not sure how it was different from anywhere else, but I guess I grew up first half of childhood on like a county line.
Mm.
Um, so it was a little more, you know, out there. And then we moved into the city because we were homeschooled. And so
Mm.
my mom wanted us to be able to walk to the library. So we found a house real close to the public library there. And that was great for us
Yeah.
because we went to the library, we went to the park, we went downtown. It was really fun. It was a little safer back then there were 12 of us, so
Yeah.
we always had a few walking buddies, but it was pretty safe to just, you know, go paint the town, so to speak.
Yeah. And especially in a city, even in a city environment, like I learned this really quickly, like especially where I grew up in South Chicago, it's like everybody kind of knows everybody. It's even though it's a city, it's still got like this cool little small town feel because
Yeah.
everything's within relative walking distance and everybody kind of knows who's supposed to be there and who's not supposed to be there.
And
So
everybody knew our crazy family because we were very unique, I guess, compared to some families because we had so many kids. So
fair enough, fair enough. And so then where does music kind of come in? Is that something that's always been there? Is your family musical or
yeah, on my mom's side, all of the women were basically in opera. And so that there was a big classical music push. And they're all from Texas.
okay.
So there was the classical music, opera style. My great uncle on that side is a concert pianist, and he studied at Juilliard, and he's been all over the world. And
Wow.
so we grew up when we were little singing harmonies to mostly hymns and stuff, but a lot of arranged part singing. And then since we lived in Kentucky, my pappy from Texas sent a banjo up, and he was like, well, y'all have to learn some bluegrass because you're living in Kentucky now.
Yeah.
So um, one of my brothers had already started playing violin, like
Mm,
Suzuki method, and
mm.
he kind of switched over to bluegrass at that point, and I started banjo. So
Nice. That's
yeah.
awesome. That's one of the things I really so pre-pandemic, we were really Live and Amplified was really rooted in pretty deeply in the bluegrass scene.
Okay.
We'd go down to the Florida Keys every January for a bluegrass festival, and we started getting introduced to a lot of bluegrass musicians, and mainly more on the East Coast, like North Carolina and that area is where they were based out of.
Mm-hmm.
But just that's one of the things that I really miss pre-pandemic was all the bluegrass music and musicians that we were like starting to build relationships with. And I'm kind of hoping that this year we'll kind of get back into that scene a bit. So
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get things back to normal after a couple or 3 years.
yeah, and it's
I don't know.
especially the festival that we went to, it was not it's still going on, but it's kind of more of a show, not a festival. You get
Oh,
what I'm
okay.
so yeah. So that was kind of our in, and it's like, okay, now we got to find a new in. So
Yeah.
um so bluegrass is that's kind of what it's always been for you, or was there
Yeah,
like a world where it could have been something else?
instrumentally, definitely just bluegrass. That's my first instrument was banjo, and then now I dabble in guitar and bass a little bit, but
Hmm.
I wasn't interested in playing anything else ever. That's for sure. And vocally, it, my mom and grandmother and aunt and great aunt, they all had these powerhouse voices that could like shatter glass or
Yeah.
whatever. And then I just came up with this slight voice
Mm.
comparatively. And so it's not necessarily like the best bellowing tone for bluegrass either, but since I was playing banjo, that it just seemed to be what I fell into, and that's fine with me.
Nice.
But it definitely singing in jams where you don't have amplification and stuff, I always have to like strain to be heard because my voice is much softer than most like bluegrass female
Mm.
singers, I would say.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And so you kind of, or that you grew up in Eastern Kentucky, but now you're based out of Nashville. How long have you been in Nashville?
I guess like 5.5 years.
Okay.
Moved down here in 2018, fresh out of school. I think I graduated from college, got my wisdom teeth out the next day, and then moved down here. And we had a gig, and I still had big puffy cheeks for that gig, so
Right.
that
Yes.
was real fun. But yeah, I started a band with my brother that summer. So
Gotcha, gotcha. And so up until recently, y'all had been still playing together, you and your brother?
yeah, and we still are, but we just have kind of transitioned into private gigs only, and we'll probably do some things around town with the full band, like public gigs, as they come up, but kind of focusing more on ourselves for the next little season. He's going to be doing a rock album,
Nice.
so that'll be really cool. And I've been writing my own material for I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years. And I was like, well, I think I'll put some of these, down, put some on
Mhm.
recording and see what people think. So
Nice.
exciting.
When you kind of decided to make that transition from the band project to your solo stuff, what was kind of the thought process going into it? Was it just, hey, I kind of want to do my own thing, or was it kind of like a mutual, like, hey, let's
It
see what
was
else?
fairly mutual. I think it was actually my brother's idea at first, just because he didn't want to be on the road as much. He got
Yeah.
married last year, and so um, and I was already starting to, be a sideman more around town and stuff like that, and playing different gigs. So it just kind of seemed like a natural, mutual decision to
Mm,
be like, yeah, let's move this direction with us, and then
mm,
let's each do something that we are very close, and so
mm.
we didn't have to compromise much of ourselves to
Yeah.
play music together. And we have a lot of originals that we wrote together or separately that we loved from
Mm,
each other's material, and put on our first two albums. But now it's definitely a little different, doing everything yourself, because you don't have any compromise whatsoever. You're just doing
yeah.
what you want to do. So
Yeah.
it's exciting. Yeah, and my brother's actually playing on a few songs on my record, and so it's funny having him in there. And he's like, "Well, this is strange. I guess I'll just do whatever you want me to
Yeah.
do." So,
It goes from being a 50-50 partnership to, hey, this is my album.
yeah,
What That's funny.
yeah,
Oh, and so you'd mentioned that you'd been writing your own stuff for 5, 6, some time now. What what kind of went into, obviously, or not obviously, but you're in the process of doing a GoFundMe for your solo project, which will be a full length album, or will be an
Yeah,
EP?
full length.
Full length album. And what kind of went into the like thought process of going into this album? Was it just specifically writing for an album, or was it just kind of like, hey, I've got a bunch of music, let's figure it out?
Yeah, it was well, it's kind of turned into both of those. As I've already finished 7 songs.
Mhm.
And those 7, I had like a few seasons a couple years ago that were a little lower, and I wrote a bunch during that time.
Mhm.
That always tends to be like kind of a processing
Mhm.
technique for me. And so a lot of those came from that time. And then now for picking the last 3 or 4 tunes, I'm kind of like writing a bunch right now. And I'm like, well, I guess I might put one of these new ones on there or something. So it'll be interesting. I haven't fully decided which ones I'm going to use to finish the album, but yeah, I kind of already had a bunch of songs,
Mhm.
and then I've just been writing a lot in the last couple months. Some of them being co-writes, and some of them still by myself. So we'll see
Nice.
what turns out on the record.
Hey, how's that kind of has it been much of a change for you writing for yourself from writing for you and your brother's band?
um, no, well, I'm not the type that sits down to write on purpose
Mm.
necessarily. So I just I just get hit with like an inspiration. What usually either when I'm driving down the road, or um I'll have a dream. So a lot of my songs come from dreams, or like, and some of my melodies come from dreams too. So I'll wake up and like try to get it down on a voice memo and then go back to sleep and kind of
Yeah.
finish it the next day or whatever. So like I never think I'm writing for anything. It's just
Mm.
like whatever is in my subconscious needs to get out, and then it does. And then I'm like, oh, okay, let's see if we want to put this on the record.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough. It's always kind of interesting to look inside the thought process of actually writing music because, you know, some musicians they kind of get stuck on that they've got like a melody or a riff or something stuck in the back of their head that they can't move on from until they just
mhm.
write the song, even if they have like no actual intention of doing anything with it.
Yeah.
Like they have to get past that mental block of getting the song out of their back of their head, and it's always really cool to just kind of see what how people approach writing music. So
Oh yeah. It's been cool to be in this town,
mm,
and in the last year or so, besides my brother, I've done a few more co-writes. I guess I did some early on too, but
mhm,
it's a whole different thing because you either have someone bringing an idea and you work from that, or you just sit there and brainstorm, try to come up with something. And that's more like intentional writing, and
mm,
that's kind of a new thing for me. Um, but it's cool the way it goes as well. But I usually, if I'm writing by myself, it's like it'll kind of all come out in like a 20-30 minute time frame, and then I'm
yeah,
done, and I'm like, all right, I'll just tweak that later. And
yeah,
so it's different when you're like sitting down trying to make something with someone else and their ideas, and it can be really like evolutionary from what you started with.
yeah.
For
Has
sure.
uh has Nashville changed you as a songwriter or helped improve you as a songwriter?
um i think I think it's improved my melodies
Mm,
probably, because everyone here is such a good musician.
mm,
And I would say that's where I draw a lot of inspiration for writing, would be hearing other people's tunes and stuff. Because I'm not that's not my forte, is like fiddle tunes or whatever.
mhm,
And some of them have the most pretty melodies and stuff, and you'll hear something and it strikes a chord and you're like, okay, like
yeah,
that's something to
yeah,
pull from later. Um, but yeah, I think it's probably only improved my style
Mhm.
of writing, just because everyone here is awesome. So
Yeah. And I mean, I guess it goes to that old adage of like iron sharpens iron. Like when
Mhm.
you're not playing up against, but when you're playing with some of them, some really talented musicians, it only forces you to be like, okay, well, let's see where I can improve and, become a better version of myself
Oh
without,
yeah,
with,
yeah.
as far, go ahead.
There's so many different styles of writing, and it's nice to be immersed in the community to be able to see, oh, like Brennan Lee, she's one of the best storytellers I've
Mhm.
ever heard, like with her music. And so that inspires me to want to try to write a song that's telling a story. Um, or there's like Maya DeVitri, who just like has such an emotional draw in her songs, and it's like very vulnerable songwriting,
Mhm.
and you just want to try to do something like that, or um you have something where it's mostly just a tune, and then there's one lyric stanza, and then it's back to the tunes about that more
Yeah.
so like you hear different styles, and you're like, oh, I never thought about writing something like that. I'll try, see what I can come up with. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So earlier we were talking about your upcoming solo project or solo album that you're currently doing a GoFundMe for, which we'll put the link in the description of the podcast and stuff like that to try and
Thank you.
help you out there. How when it came to this project, how long had like that idea been with you? Was that is obviously you said you've been writing for yourself for a while, but how long has like the idea for a solo project been kind of lingering?
Really, like maybe since like August or something, just a few
Okay.
months.
Yeah.
um I was I was very content to be a sideman and try to shop some of my songs out to have
Mhm.
them cut by other people. And then a few of my friends just kept encouraging me just to put out my own record. And so I was like, well, I guess by way of me putting out my own record, someone else could hear this and want to cut it as
Yeah.
well. But it's been a really good process. Because I went in November
Mm.
to get these first seven down, and like I think through the process of recording and like doing some unique new things in the studio, I've
Mhm.
kind of found more of a sound that I could be like, okay, I could apply this to myself and be an artist.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's been a cool journey, and I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen with it. I don't know if I'm gonna play shows and tour on this album, or
Mm.
just, just kind of get it out there and keep doing what I'm doing around town, playing gigs, or I have no idea. So
Fair. It's a whole new world for you, and that's got to
yeah,
be really exciting.
it is. It's fun.
Yeah. I've been really enjoying watching a lot of the social content you've been putting out.
Oh yeah.
The live video that you put out on YouTube, what was that, yesterday or 2 days ago,
Mhm.
whatever it was. That was really cool. I don't know how y'all didn't freeze. Like, I don't know when you shot that, but I don't know how you didn't freeze, but
It
that's
was windy, but we shot that in, I think, it November, and it wasn't too
okay.
bad out.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And then a lot of your Instagram videos, Mason Vibe, been a huge fan of his for a
Oh,
really long time. And
yeah, he's great.
that's awesome. So as you kind of do you have like a rough timeline for this album, or is it just kind of when you get funding and all that stuff?
Um, well, I'm, I've used, you know, a lot of my own savings and stuff
Mhm.
for it. So it's going to happen regardless. The funding is to reimburse myself so that I
Mm.
can like get my
Yeah,
car fixed if that comes up, or,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But uh and some of that definitely has to be used for promotional aspects to
yeah.
and distribution, trying to get it out there. So I think I would ideally like to get it out, by the fall,
Okay.
and get some singles out before then. But I don't exactly, I mean, I've done this process with my brother a
Yeah,
couple times now, but it's not necessarily smooth sailing all the time. So we'll
yeah.
see what I can manage, but I definitely am going to get it out this year.
That's
So
nice.
we'll see.
I'm excited to hear the full album, the full project. And you brought up like obviously this is going to be a completely different experience because with your brother, if there was something that you weren't necessarily 100% good at, but he was better at it, you can kind of lean on him to cover. And now it's just kind of like everything's on you. Not to put pressure on you, but
Yeah.
like it just kind of feels like everything's on you. And that'll be a really interesting experience to kind of um push yourself outside your comfort zone.
Yes, it definitely already has, just being in the studio with such phenomenal musicians from
Mm,
here in Nashville. And all of them are my friends, and
mm,
all of them were so helpful, writing charts and cleaning,
yes.
arrangements up and stuff. Like it was pretty, you know, group effort,
Mm,
vibes in the studio. And I'm working with the engineer that Theo and I first worked
yeah.
with on our first record. And so
Nice.
which we were really green then. So he's now working with green Brenna solo again. So he's really helpful. He's great. So I think
Nice.
it's gonna be cool, and everything, all the components of it will be, I've signed off on them, but they've all been kind of a collective, you
Mhm.
know, people mentioning a suggestion here or there, and I'm like, oh yeah, please, by all
Yeah,
means,
for sure.
so.
As you kind of approach the final stages of like recording and then eventually releasing, what's something that's keeping you awake at night about this entire process?
Mm. Well, right now it's content, I guess, slash trying to figure out the last few songs that I
Mm,
want. Yeah, no one's here to tell me which ones I should put. So that's I'm like, I can't decide. So there's decision making, and then I'm trying to do some very unique music video type of
mm,
stuff and I want those music videos are something that kind of flop sometimes because
mm,
people have short attention
yeah.
spans, so it's not necessarily advised to do a bunch of music videos, but I just kind of had a unique idea for one, and I'm hoping to do whatever collaborations necessary to get that further, so that all the effort going into it doesn't just kind of dissipate.
Yeah.
I want people to see it. I want people to like feel it. It's going to be
Mm,
cool. So I guess trying to figure out how to get things out there,
yeah.
is definitely something that keeps me up, um, or is like stressing me out when I'm driving down the road. But
Fair.
yeah,
Fair. I would say the live performance video, the more of those you can do,
yeah.
those are, yeah. I always
Yeah,
enjoy
those are
watching. Yeah.
fun.
Um, as so you're obviously going through this process right now. Um, as you're writing out these last few songs and trying to figure these out, will these be songs that you'll go and play out live just to kind of see how people react to them, or do you want this to be like a 100% brand new album that nobody's ever?
Yeah, I've done some of these songs in public already. Like the one that I posted with my brother that I filmed with Bop Flicks.
Mm,
That one our band has been doing for like a year and a half or
mm,
so, in the sets. And I've done a couple of solo gigs around town already, where I've done a few of these songs.
mhm.
And so I think some of them will be familiar just to
Yeah.
people who have heard them around here, but
Mhm.
yeah, mostly brand new to the world,
Okay. Yeah.
for sure. So,
Fair.
but I'll
Fair.
be happy to play them, you know, as the album's coming out in
Yeah.
shows and stuff, to sort of people get feedback and see what people are excited about.
Yeah. 100% understood. So taking a step outside of music, when Brenna needs some time to herself to get away from everything, what are some of your hobbies? What do you do to kind of decompress?
Um, let's see. Well, I work out a lot. I've always been kind of active and in sports and stuff. I played college volleyball, and just in high school, and I used to run a lot, and right now I'm in a lifting phase, so
Nice.
I enjoy going and pumping some iron. And let's see, I just love hikes, nature. I love animals, so if I can go walk around, and my brother just got a dog recently, any excursion with her makes my heart just soar.
Nice.
And anywhere that I can walk and see some wildlife is cool. But I have tons of friends, and I love one-on-one time. So, I'll hit up one of my girlfriends and we'll go out and get coffee or whatever and catch up, because with everyone's schedule here, it's sometimes really hard to stay, you know, up to date on
Yeah.
everything that our friends are doing. So we have to get together intentionally to
Yeah.
whenever they're back from tour or whatever,
Yeah.
So and I go out to watch my friends play almost
Mm.
every night here in Nashville. So
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. Nashville's good for that. Like
Yeah.
it's been a little bit since I've been to Nashville. I haven't been since the pandemic, but um the couple of times that I've been, there's always something going on. There's always music being played, and you don't have to go on Broadway to go see the music. Obviously, you
Yeah.
can kind of step outside and avoid paying the exorbitant parking fee,
Yes. Yeah. The
which
parking situations.
yeah.
Oof.
But I really enjoyed Nashville for that, and hopefully one day I'm gonna keep saying it, but hopefully one day Live and Amplified will get moved to Nashville. So
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, there's
yeah,
definitely room for more podcasts here, and
yeah.
like, there's plenty to talk about in this town.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So kind of on that topic a little bit, and I don't want to keep you too much longer here, but how's Nashville changed since you've been there?
Well, just it seems like they're always trying to fix roads, so there's just always a lot of traffic for
Mm,
that. But I think the buildings that have gone up since I've been here in the last 5 years,
mm,
like, have changed the way those parts of town look
mhm,
already so drastically. Like the Gulch, where Station Inn is.
mhm,
When I first moved here, I was at the Station Inn all the time. Me and my brother had a relationship with JT Gray, the owner there, and we
mhm,
just, it felt like family to hang out there all the time. And like there were still just parking lots
mhm,
around it, and now there's high rises surrounding it, like, and a bunch of new developments and new stores, and like Lululemon's down there, I think, and I'm like,
yeah,
whoa. So it's just like a lot of development. And then I know the housing market's gone way up, because I've been
mhm,
trying to buy a house for the last few years, and it's just pretty
yeah,
much impossible right now for me. But yeah, just a lot of you know developments.
mhm,
And the number, I think, when I first moved here, I heard it was like 100 people a day moving to Nashville, and
yeah,
I I would assume that's gone up or
oh yeah,
something. Um, but yeah, it's just forever expanding, but that's how it goes.
yeah, yeah. It's one of those things where the music industry is there, and it's not just the country music capital anymore. It's like almost the music capital at this point, because I've from the first time I went there to the last time I went there, the evolution of the scene from being primarily country Americana singer-songwriter kind of in that vein, and then introducing more like hip hop acts, more R&B, just like all the different genres that are like finding their way to Nashville and building a scene. That's really cool. And it's as much of I'll say a problem as the expansion is, because it's making everything super expensive. It's only gonna continue to grow. So
Yeah. Yeah. And what's the saying? Like all the ships lift the water
uh
level or whatever.
rising tides raises all ships.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think the more the merrier for um, you know, being
Mhm.
able to expand for everyone.
Mm.
Even though I don't know if I signed up for such a big city vibe, but
Right.
you
Fair.
know, it took me long enough to get just used to the interstate changes here
Yeah.
in town. I was like, why are there 3 interstates intersecting throughout, this whole
Yeah.
town? And I have to like hop on one, and then I'm just trying to go to Walmart. Like I didn't want to
Yeah.
get on the interstate. Um, so
Uh,
that freaked me out a little bit at first, but
understood completely. And then as far as shows are going, are you playing pretty consistently, or how often are you playing right now?
yeah, I we just finished like an 8-month residency downtown with a band that I've been playing banjo for.
Mhm.
It's Paul Kramer and
Mhm.
Nora Jane Struthers and Charlie Pate. And so that was weekly. So that kept me really like, having something
Yeah.
all the time. And then there's a lot of last minute things that just pop up constantly. And I'm assuming that that'll just kind of keep going
Yeah.
as it goes. So I think last year it felt like I was, playing like 4 to 10 times a month around
Hmm.
town, just, with other people. And then I might proactively start booking stuff for myself. Just as I start finding the time. I have a day job as well,
Yeah.
so it's I have to balance a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But
How do you find the balance there with the day job and then your musical aspirations and then like just obviously personal outside
mhm.
of all of it? How do you kind of find that balance?
Well, I don't get very much sleep.
Fair.
um, but I try to take naps. Like if I can get a 30-minute nap after work before work,
Hmm.
then it seems like that can give me enough life to go ahead and enjoy everything. And then yeah, just every once in a while, like after like 2 weeks of going hard in the paint, I just, take a couple days and stay in and watch something on Netflix
Nice.
and, eat my food that I like to cook and just chill out.
Nice. Nice. Going
Re-
hard in the paint is probably my favorite saying. I don't know why, it just is. So,
well, I did
um,
play college basketball for like 2 months as
fair,
well.
fair, nice.
So,
And then before we wrap this up, what's something that you miss about Eastern Kentucky that you can't get in Nashville?
ooh. Well, the knobs. Honestly, like I could drive and go hike, and you you hike for like 2 hours,
Hmm.
if that, and you have a view of like the whole region.
Nice.
And here there's not tall enough hills for
Yeah.
that. So it's more like trails.
Yeah.
So you just have to get out of it what you can. But I miss the knobs, and I miss L8. L8 is the soft drink my hometown makes.
Nice.
And I don't know, it's smaller, it's simpler. Um, uh, and I have quite a few friends that I still stay in touch with, but definitely wish, you know, that I could get together with more often, but it's the distance and the timing and everything. But mostly, I mean, Nashville feels like home to me too, though,
Yeah.
now. So, I think what I miss most is the hiking up a mountain
Nice.
aspect,
Nice.
which
Um,
anybody from the West would be like, what is she talking about, mountain? But for us in the area,
yeah,
we like our short knobs.
fair, fair, fair. It's unless you enjoy walking around Percy Priest Lake, because I'm
Yeah.
only assuming that's where most of the hiking trails are.
Well, I have honestly haven't even gone out there. I've gone to so many, but I try to find these little trails that like nobody else is on
Hmm.
because I just enjoy the solitude of it. Or just like less, I don't like if I have to walk past and do the nod to like people constantly on the hike, then it's not as like
Yeah.
meditative, So
Yeah.
I try to find a little more remote spots, but I I enjoy Shelby Park too, and that's
Mm.
down, it you're passing a lot of people, but it's down on the river,
Yeah.
mostly. So that's
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, I need to do Percy Priest sometime.
Okay.
Check that out.
Yeah. Awesome. So if anybody wants to check out anything you got going on, the updates on the upcoming album, just interact with you on social, where's the best place to find you?
Well, now I have a website. It's BrennaMacMillan.com, and that has all of my social media links on there. And so that helps alleviate confusion because there's a lot of fake accounts out there.
That
And
is true. I found that
yeah,
one out the hard way.
yeah, it's ridiculous. And I hate that people try to take advantage of that.
Mhm.
But anyway, that BrennaMacMillan.com has all the links to my social media, which I have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and now my YouTube channel, which is just starting baby steps. And then I have an email address on there as well for like booking inquiries or whatever, or questions about the album I would probably answer. So all of that's on the website in one place, but Instagram is where I'm the most active as far as I actually open the DMs and stuff. I don't open DMs on Facebook. I don't open DMs on TikTok. So
Sure.
I just don't go down that road. But Instagram, I interact a lot and answer a lot of questions on there, if I can. So, but I would definitely go through the website first so that you're in the right spot.
Yeah, for sure. I was looking for something before we jumped on here, and I was like, "Oh, I'll go to her Facebook page." And then I typed in your name on Facebook, and there was like 3 or 4 pages, and I'm like, okay, let
Yeah.
me go back to the website and just hit the little Facebook thing. Okay, cool. Now I'm in the
Yep.
right place. So
Yeah, there's a Facebook page. I keep trying to get taken down. It has more than what my Facebook page is that's
mm,
of me, but I think it's mostly bots on there. So
mhm.
like you can tell from the amount of likes that their reposts get.
Yeah,
But and they're sneaky. That's
yeah,
crazy.
they are. They really are. It's crazy. But absolutely have enjoyed this conversation. Really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anybody that is interested, we will have the GoFundMe link in the description of the podcast, or and then we'll also have a link to your website and all that fun stuff. So they make it super easy to find you and all that fun stuff. But
Yay.
once again, thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you all later. Cool.
Nice.
Stop.